Alright. Power to the dark side family. What's going on? Another episode without the blue. Today we are invested in the culture. Right? Today we are definitely will be invested in the culture. Some of the things that we're going to be going into today will definitely be one of our elders, bayyinah. Bayyinah Bello explains a lot about the Haitian Revolution, or what happened that's what she calls Haiti. And we're gonna discover. So y'all can hear me correctly. My fault, family. Guess I should have been ready here. But we got a lot to discover there. Getting into the 7 principles, the 7 powers, that we would say governs voodoo and different things like that. And this is just about, understanding our foundation. Ifa is the foundation, and, making sure we have a solid foundation to build off of. As though we are moving forward, creating something new, we definitely want to make sure, though, that we do have something that is solid to build off of. Like I said, we definitely gonna be. I'm gonna listen to a few things that the elder Bayyinah Bello will bring out. I'll comment on them as we kind of go through. If I see some questions also in the chat, we'll also deal with those. But without further ado, y'all already know I gotta get into the intro. Before we begin. So with that being said, y'all know what time it is. Counting strikes and still letting blossom slow. Still learning from the lessons, I ain't letting go. I'm just confessing my depression, I need medical. I wanna get into it, turn into a vegetable. Don't wanna think about all this shit that I'm expressing on. It ain't healthy being left alone. And it's time when we ain't gone when it's bumping on. And I'll be writing all my roads for the extension. Storm. Let me tell you about the chains and mental bondage. Swear to God to leave a pain in my stomach. Wild boys die young. At the bottom of a model for a message. No, I don't need no suggestions. You only get one first impression. You only get one. You only get one. Fell asleep on the phone, I'm just well wishing. Woke up in the system, I done felt it. Had a vision of my spirit breaking hell with him. Sent a prayer from the angels that it fell with him. All those with me, better stand to your left. School of hard knocks and we ain't play with no breath. All I found better save me your chest. You had Kevin Hart, you been playing in your dress. Something wrong with him. Why you always seem to stay up in some mess? You ain't the son of a king, boy, you Menelik. I was born in the trenches, bitch, I've been a vet. Stop trading like Arnold, no Benedict. Strong arming when it's storming for the benefit. On karma, I'ma get what I'm finna get. Finish the mission with a hole in my Michelin. At the bottom of a model for a message. No, I don't
Alright, family. Yeah. So y'all know what time it is, man. Same old. You know, I'm definitely got some things to bring y'all out. To bring out tonight. But without further ado, we are definitely gonna get into the elder bayyinah bello, right? And very important, right? And so what we getting into, this is the 7 laws, right? These are the 7 laws. Bayyinah bello. Let me see. Let me start this thing over. Probably about right here. Okay. And just a heads up too, the sister does have her own, the mother does have her own official YouTube channel. So please go subscribe. Please go subscribe. Go like on the videos. Go donate, support everything that you can do. Let's get that together. Damn. Got it. Share audio. Alright, so yeah. We're gonna get right on into it, family. Hopefully y'all can hear everything okay. I'm just gonna stay unmuted just in case. Let me know if everybody can hear everything okay.
Tonight we're going to look at voodoo. What is, Brother Inuni said, voodoo is a religion. I'm not so sure. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it's not. For after analyzing the word religion and the practice of religions around this world today, I have come to understand religion is the business of selling that which you cannot see. And it's good business. The Catholics have done it. Muslims have done it. Protestants do it. Mormons do it. They sell to us and we buy and pay dearly that which we cannot see. Religions usually go after convincing people that they must be part of this religion if they want to be saved, if they want to save their soul. Religions usually say, if you're not part of my group, you're no good. You belong to the devil. And voodoo doesn't say that. Voodoo doesn't care if you go to church, if you go to the temple or go to the mosque. It doesn't matter to voodoo. You can go anywhere you want. And voodoo is still, it's all right with voodoo. And if we look at the word voodoo, we learn that it means the spirit is present. Be aware that the spirit is present. In all that you do, know that the spirit is present. It doesn't sell you a spirit with a particular name. It doesn't tell you unless you call the spirit Jesus or Allah or anything else, then you will be damned. No. Voodoo is very comfortable. And it is so true. In Africa, it was known as Ifa. And you learned about Esu Elegba. When you come to Haiti, we call it voodoo. And we say Legba. When we go to Cuba, we talk about Santeria. We talk about Obeah. We talk about Lukumi. All these are children of Ifa. And we find the principles remain the same, though the details may change. What is important is to know the principle. And most of all, as many of the Unga at home say to me, when I ask what is the most important thing about voodoo, they say, well, you don't have to go somewhere, stick out your tongue, so they'll put God in you. In voodoo, God is already there. You just have to know how to call on him and say, come on, I need this work done. You don't have a special day. There is no Saturday that is a special day, or Friday that is a special day, or Tuesday or Monday or any other day. Voodoo says you must be aware of the presence of the Spirit every minute, every second, in every thought, every word, and every action of yours. You are not a practicing voodoo on Sunday, and then on Tuesday you go kill people, on Friday you go steal, on Wednesday you go murder, and then on Sunday you are pure. No, voodoo does not recognize that. Your purpose, voodoo says, on this earth is to build good character. Our purpose as human beings is to build good character, so we can create a worthwhile society and have a life of victory. So, how does one build good character? To build good character, voodoo give us a number of principles. Many places, NIT included, we have a tendency to take a principle and say there's a God. People talk about the God Legba, the God Aizon, God so and so. But that's not the word the ancestors gave us. The ancestors gave us the word Loa. Well, the white folks wrote it L-O-A. But in the French language, there is also the word Loa. But white folks write it L-O-E, L-O-I. Their Loa is written L-O-I, our Loa is written L-O-A. Both are pronounced the same way. Both means the same thing. And what is the meaning of the word Loa in French? It means law in English. So if they tell us we have the Legba Loa, how can it become God? Or is it that in law is a God? Question. So let's look at a couple of the principles, the laws that voodoo give us for a life of victory.
And so real quick, I just kind of want to inject it right here. And this is why I say we have to be careful when we referring to voodoo as these gods that are being worshipped, and these gods that they've created, and idols and all of this craziness. There are no gods in voodoo. That's not us. And so to try to compare what we have going on to gods, these are principles, laws. So you to try to do, and it's almost like we do that in order to try to make it make sense to those who don't have the mindset to understand it. That's when they say, like, but it's no comparison. There is no comparison. You can't take the standards that you have set in your particular spirituality and apply them, or in your particular religion, and apply them to Ifa. It's just not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. And so we see things are being set up differently. What are the goals? Building good character. How are we building this good character? By going according to what? The 7 principles of voodoo, or the 7 laws of the Lua. Right? And it's much different. And because they don't understand, like, and we one thing we have to understand is that symbology is how we communicate with each other, right? Through symbols, right? And that's why a lot of times people say, like, we really are artistic people, right? And how you communicate with artistic people is through symbols and symbology and different things. And so what you're going to find is that these principles or laws or luau are manifest their way, manifest themselves differently, right? Through different sects of Ifa, right? And so what we see is Ifa being the foundation, and we end up seeing these principles of Ifa found by different names here in places, even here in Louisiana, amongst the Gullah Geechee, in place even in Haiti, right? Palenque in Colombia, also in Brazil. So we see different manifestations of these same principles, but it's not comparable to say that these are gods, because it's two different things, right? These are two different things. Nah, no gods, bro. No gods. You only have laws, brother. And the reason why I say there's no gods is, like I said, they don't mean the same thing, and they don't have the same effect, right? Because a god in other cultures, gods are disconnected from man, right? And what I mean by the gods are disconnected from man is that you in most other cultures and religions, the gods are morally in a position that you can't be in, right? And so it is said to be impossible for you to be good, right? And the only way for you to be good is by living by or accepting the laws of these different gods, right? Or this one particular god. And so but at the same time, even with you, let's just say you walk in perfection with these laws or whatever of God, like the Torah, for instance, it's never for you to, it's looked down upon for you to be equal with the gods, right? Like, it's looked down upon for you to actually know that the creator is you, as well as you are the creator. But in other religions, but I mean, when we look at Ifa, there's none of this this individual. The individual doesn't exist in Ifa, right? The individual doesn't exist, and so there's no separation from you and nature, or you and the force or the power behind creation. Nor is there a separation from you and the principles, right? And that's why, like, even when we get into these 7 laws or these 7 principles, right? These aren't principles to be worshipped. These are principles to be embodied, right? And we gonna get into them because, like, part of these laws is, like, we gonna see Ogun and we gonna hear Oshun, right? And you would say that those would be gods, but at the same time, those are principles, and you're supposed to be embodying Ogun and embodying Oshun, right? Because these are the principles not of love, but also technology, courage, farming, all kind of different things. So these aspects play out in you, right? And so when you talk about, like, in other situations, like the war in heaven, what role do you play in the role in heaven, in the war in heaven? And in that instance, you don't really play a role, right? Because this is happening without your knowledge. This is happening without you being able to see it, but you read about it, and you know what I'm saying? So there's this big fight over you that's going on in heaven that you're not even in control of right now, with powers and deities that are separate from you, and that in itself just doesn't exist. So that's what I mean by no gods. I'm trying not to say too much 'cause I don't want to, spoil the video. Oh my God. Alright, so I see the Asiatics are showing up. Right. But those are but those principles, right, are that, like, and when we talk about the much more powerful principle, there really isn't a much more powerful principle, because all of those principles create are a part of the one, and the one is a part of all of those principles. And so, and that's what I'm saying, like, even there you're making a separation between those 7 principles and the one known as the creator, when that distinction is never created. That distinction is never really there. But as we continue on, we'll see what happens. But but let me go ahead and give a shout out to everybody that's in the building. Mongo Slade in the building, I appreciate you, God. The wifey Shay Love is in the building, I appreciate you. The Bible gives life, I even appreciate you. Shout out to my main man Azov. I said Azov, Mongo Slade, always in the building, always ready to build. The Bible gives life. Come on, man. Come on. I'm lost. You gotta stop that. It gives. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you: does the Bible give death? You said it gives life. Does it give death? So, man, let's continue.
Number one, many times we learn about dump in Africa. In Haiti, we call it Dambala. Dump represented by what? How is it represented? What form does it have? Dambala or dump? Anyone here knows? Excuse me? The snake. Yes. The form of a snake. Why? That is the law of life. The law of basic biological material life. And it tells us the law, in order to have life in a biological material form, you must have flexibility and mobility. If there is no flexibility, there is no life. If there is no mobility, there is no material life, biological material life. So why is it represented by a snake? Well, let's see. Which animal do we know of that is more flexible and has greater mobility than the snake? The snake lives in the desert. The snake lives in the water. It lives on the tree. It lives underground. It lives in the forest. It lives inside the human body or animal body. There is no place the snake will not live because it has tremendous flexibility and tremendous mobility. It could go anywhere and it can adapt to any situation. It does not die. It survives all transitions or new environments. It adapts. It doesn't die. As a matter of fact, we know that there are many types of snakes. Even when you cut them in half, what happens? The head will grow another tail. It's a very difficult animal to destroy. That is why this animal represents the very principle of life, flexibility and mobility. In Haiti we call Dambala. In Africa it is called Dog. But this is just, remember we said the principle of life. Now we come into the first principle for social life. First principle for social life, that means interaction between humans, is legba. In Africa, esu.
And so, and just real quick, that's an example of what I'm talking about, right? Because when we know that when we say like those 7 principles, right? So let's just talk about life. Now we all know that life would come from the one source, right? But why is life being animated in the form of a snake? Because that's how it's easier at that time for us to understand life, right? So the snake is a principle used to help us understand an aspect of the source, bro. But that's only, and like you said, there's only one true principle, right? And this one true principle, there's life that comes from it. Love comes from it. The things that are hidden come, like all of these different aspects come from one source, right? And so that's why I say, but it's still, that source is still not comparable to call it a God, because we see it other aspects. God is something that is domestically involved in different situations. When we talking about Haiti, these principles are already established for you to be able to operate right, amongst each other. But I don't know.
Elegba. NIT, legba. In analyzing those words, Esu, Elegba, we learn that Esu means the divine interpreter. And Elegba means the one who fights. The battleman, the military guy, the one who can defend situations. So, does it make sense that in IET, when Ifa came to IET and gave birth to Voodoo, in choosing a name for the very first principle between Esu and Elegba, in the situation that we were in, what is it logical that we should choose? Legba. Because we were in the battleground. We were fighting for freedom, for life. So Legba is the dominant term in Haiti. Esu is the dominant term in other parts of Africa. Legba is the principle, the first principle of social life, social interaction. And what is that principle? It is to create opportunity for others. We say it at home, we say opening the door. When you open the door, do you open it for yourself or do you open it for others? If you open it for yourself, it's just you. You come to the door, you open it. Nobody knows that you open the door, and it doesn't matter. If opening the door is important, it's because you open the door to let somebody else go by. Huh? So, a legba is the law which demands, in order to have a society, people must have as a first principle, create an opportunity for the others. Give the other one, put the other one first. Give your brother a chance. Help your sister advance. That is the principle of legba. When you're talking about legba, when you pronounce this word, that's what it carries. That it means, if you understand, if you say you serve legba, and you're always standing in the middle of a doorway, and people can't go through, there's something wrong with what you're saying, between what you say and what you do. There is no harmony between what you say and what you do. If you believe in legba, and you are a servant of legba, that means the principle is embodied in you, and you act upon this principle, then automatically, if there is a problem here, we all need to get out of this room, then the dominant legba among us, all of us have the principle in us, but the one that has it as a dominant character will be the one that will hold the door. Say, brothers and sisters, this way, that way, and maybe this person will not ever go through this door, but this person will make sure that everybody else get out of the endangered area. That is a legba. Legba is not some spooky little something that's going to crawl up in the form of a snake that we need to adore. When we take our own language, we understand that we say we serve a loi. Word for word, that's what we say. We do not say we adore a loi. There is no adoring in Voodoo. There is servicing, giving service, putting your word into action, acting upon a principle, but not adoring. Okay? So legba, first law, first principle for social principle for a good society, a life of victory. Second one, we must develop, remember, the purpose of Voodoo, to develop, to build good character. We came here to build good character. That means, do I sit down and I wait to see how I'm going to become somebody with good character? No. I'm supposed to build good character. I have to work on myself to put in myself the character traits that are necessary for a good society, for a life of victory. So I must, I'm told, the first principle I must know and must apply and must act upon is lekba. Number 2 is aizan. Aizan is the principle of organization and structure. You must know how to organize. Two people cannot coexist in a common space if there is no law, no rules, no organization.
And I just want you guys to notice that all of these principles, right, already are different aspects of you. All of these principles already exist within you. Being a door opener, that means not being selfish, unselfishness. That already exists in you. Life exists in you. Organization, right? That already exists in you. These are aspects already and principles of you. And so that's why, again, when we say this source, well, what is the source? It's us. Right? And this is why understanding that this is important in understanding where you stand at. And why you need to understand that the spirit is always present. Right? Because now you have to understand how is the spirit always present? How? Through life. Through life.
There has to be. So aizan is that principle of organizing. And all these, the principles, lekba is a male principle. Aizan is a female principle. And aizan is lekba's wife. So that means you must, as aizan is a female principle. And aizan is lekba's wife. So that means you must, that's your first duty, is to create opportunity for others, but it cannot be done in chaos. It must be organized. It must be structured. It must be measured. There must be degrees to everything. Aizan, they tell us, created music. What is music? Sound put into precise degrees, measures, density, everything is taken into account. Specific, detailed, precisions. That's what organization is all about. So we have lekba, then we have aizan.
Spell it, sir. Spell that. Aizan.
A-Y-I-Z-A-N. Third principle for third social principle for a life of victory is Ogun. Ogun. O-G. G is like in joy. Is G or J? That's G. O-G-O-U-N. Ogun. Ogun is the principle of courage. Once you know your duty, create opportunity for others to help life flow, to advance, to bring progress in the life of a people. You must create opportunity for others. Number 2, you must organize your actions. Number 3, you must have courage. There is no life if there is no courage. Ogun is the principle of courage. And Vadum goes further and explains to us, what is courage made of? Courage is made of truth, spoken with an objective that is good for a community. Not any old kind of truth. You must speak the truth. No one. If you cannot speak the truth, you have no courage. When you are courageous, you speak the truth. This brother is bigger and taller than I am.
Can y'all hear anything? Y'all said no sound. Let me stop sharing, and then I'm gonna start sharing again. And real quick, man, I just want to answer this question. If it ain't the Holy Spirit, what spirit is it? I'm glad that you said that, because if we're talking, this is why when we're talking about voodoo, we're not talking about a set apart spirit or a separate spirit. This is a spirit of oneness. There's only one spirit. So the question is, if you ain't talking about the one spirit and you got this set apart spirit, where did you get that spirit from? That's the actual question. Where did you get this set apart spirit from? And that's the basis of it. It's separation. Separatist. Individual. Not commune. Not the community. Not us. Not we. But I. These are aspects that are... And now you have to ask yourself, this separateness that you refer to, brother, the Bible gives life, this separateness that you were referring to, is this separate spirit good for black people or bad? Because it looks to me like we've had this separatist spirit for a long time. Maybe I am, brother. Maybe I am. Let's get back to it, though.
I'm not frightened by the fact that he doesn't look like me. I can deal with the brother. We can interact. We are different, and we're going to find the channel through which we can communicate. Because through organization, with courage, we're going to be able to deal with things and have a base of functioning. That's what love is. Love is not doobie-doobie-doo, I love you. That is word. That is nonsense. When somebody tells you, I love you, close your eyes and say, oh brother, if you're white, you have, those people have different kind of color eyes, they should close their eyes and say, what's the color of my eye? 3/4 of the time, the person who says that didn't even look at your face and don't know the color of your eyes. Okay? Ask the person say, I love you. Tell them, what do you know about me? What do you love about me? Tell me exactly. What specifically? Is it my height? Is it my skin tone? Is it my hair? What is it you like? Be precise, brother. Yes. You should ask. And you're going to find out the person can't say very much. They never really looked at you. They don't even you in the most superficial physical way. Now let's not get into your character. If they don't know what you look like, which their eyes is right on it, how are they going to know who you are? To love is to know many things and be able to harmonize all the differences. No knowledge, no love possible. No knowledge, no love possible. Voodoo tells us we must develop, we must build good character. How do I know how to build my good character if I don't know who I am? I don't know what my weaknesses are. I don't know what my strengths are. If I don't know my weaknesses, I cannot know what my strengths are. Because I don't have the courage to speak the truth about myself to myself. I cannot know myself. And if I don't know myself, I cannot love myself. And if I don't love myself, can I love you? No way, Jose. I cannot love you. There cannot be love love cannot exist without. And if you notice, as the principle comes, it's a build on. One is a prerequisite for the other. We're not talking about that love in the mouth. We're talking about love, a powerful weapon, which is built on knowing, respecting others, having the courage to speak the truth, organizing. If you can't organize your life, what are you coming to do in my life? Could come and create chaos? No, thank you. I'm very happy in my little life, well organized, just as it is. If you're going to come, that's because I see your life is well organized too. In fact, I'm going to admire your organization first. Your structure first. Not your body, your structure in your life. I'm going to be mesmerized by your courage. And that's when there's going to be love between you and I. If I see no courage, I see no truth being spoken. I don't see you being able to give even an old lady a seat in a bus. You can't open the door for a pregnant woman. Why in the world would I put my entrust, my sentimental life into your hands? That is a no-no in Voodoo. You must go and build good character. When you have built good character, while I'm building good character, then the two of us will have a basis for doing something together. So we saw 4 principles for social interaction. Legba, followed by or side by side with eyes on. Look at this. You must, before even knowing anything, you must create opportunity for others. Then you organize. And then you can speak. Isa doesn't speak. She organizes worlds. She organizes universe. Ogu is going to speak. He has the right to speak. Because there is courage. And he knows he can speak the truth. And then we come to the partner to courage. The one that's going to bring equity.
And so, well, first let me address this. And shout out to my brother Azar. We bringing him slowly but surely out of idolatry. Soon my brother will be dark side, no question. But let's start here, right? And so my brother Azov says that, well, damn, Blue, the spirit of detachment is the key principle to holiness, right? Now that may be true, but here is where we create a problem. The opposite of that is the profane. No, brother. No, brother. No. You have to ask yourself, the spirit of detachment, when does it stop? Because in Ifa, we feel a connection, right? There's a direct connection between us and the stars. In most Abrahamics, there is a detachment between us and the stars. And the belief that there is a connection is the profane. And so, like in Ifa, when we look at nature, right? Nature is in life is one and the same. But when we look at the Abrahamics, right, because of the spirit of detachment, they are separate from nature. And then when we look at how being separate from nature and being separate and taking on a separate spirit, because you got to understand the reason why all of these these 7 principles, when we talk about Ifa, you can tap into all of these different principles or different spirits, if you want to call it that, is because they are already in you. These are just different aspects of you. These are just different aspects of you. So you're not being filled with the Holy Spirit. Here, in this instance, the Spirit is already there. If you're not filled with the Spirit, oh shoot. And so when we talk about the Spirit or this life, where does life not exist? Where do you see life that exists without the Spirit? Well, then that becomes part of the issue. Because now once you detach yourself from nature, we live in a situation now where nature is no longer respected. And now the disrespect of nature comes at the detriment of us. Where if we actually seen ourselves at one, we'd be working in harmony, understanding that they both keep us alive. I've heard people say that nature is trying to kill us. But we see that we got CO2 levels in the air that are perfectly made just for us. We see that trees and vegetation let off just enough amount of oxygen for us. How is nature trying to kill us? And you know why they do that? Because we harmonize with nature in a way. That's why it's made perfect. Because you made it perfect. And then what we end up getting is the overstepping the boundaries of animals. Overstepping the boundaries of trees. Overstepping the boundary of people. Because this detachment only creates war. We detach from people. And mind you, your detachment from other people isn't based on the principles. It's based on their belief in what deity. And the reason why I can say that is because we find aspects of Ifa in the Bible. I say this over and over again. The law of adultery, that's Ifa. The Urim and the Thummim, that's Ifa. All of these different things, even the sacrifices, like this is crazy. So the principles aren't different. Even the fact of giving your firstborn to the priesthood, but the difference is that what you gave a name to yours and you said that this is the one. But when we look at some of the practices, we see the practices of Ifa popping up through You said, what is it? Deity based on principles. Principles. Supposed to be. Supposed to be. I mean, but we see that the difference, it doesn't really come in the principle, because these same principles we can read about some of these same principles in the Bible. The difference comes is when it becomes this, you become possessive of the God, and the God becomes possessive of you. That's really the difference. You should be by nature following the principle. You should be. But we don't see that. We don't see people following the principle of Jesus. If we follow the principle, or like, let's just say like Jesus was, the message is true to what it's supposed to be, and you are embodying the principle of Jesus, then that's a principle of sacrifice. We haven't seen that principle applied since the 60s with Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. That was the most that you have seen. That's pretty much our only example of the embodiment of the principle of Jesus being applied, is during the Civil Rights Movement. Right? But so, and right, so when you say, and there is some truth to that, right? So when we talk about method, that's why the principles all have to apply, because the method must line up with the principle. And so remember, courage is defined, right? When we talk about Ogun, remember, courage is defined by being able to tell the truth and do what benefits the commune or the community, right? Or everyone. And so that principle. So even if we talk about, let's say, how would we apply the principle of opening up a door? Well, you would first, before you would open up the door, you would first have to do what? Decide, right? If this truth is the best thing for, or what you are doing is the best thing for the community. And so that would automatically change how your method is applied. Right. That and that's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is. Shout out to my brother, and Yame is in the building. Man, let me drop the link. Let's see what's going on. Should have been dropped the link too. And I think it was Bible Gives Life. If you want to hit the link, brother, that is fine. But so yeah, when we talk about embodying these very principles, there's no separation between you and it. These are aspects of you that you must manifest. And so, and that's why, if you see how, as we watching bayyinah, if we see how she actually sets it up. It's each principle dictates the method of each other. So it's hard for you to escape. Like some of the mistakes that we would say that we made in here. Right, the principle of the door, right? Or opening up the door. Well, that is it's much deeper, because when we talk about, and that's why she said, embodying Legba. That's about, when you open up that door, let's just talk about the job. You get the job, right? And okay, you've moved up and you've done your best in that job. Now is an opportunity now you set a standard. Your standard is an opportunity for you to open up the door for someone else to come in. And so all of these factors are important. All of these factors are important. So let me continue a little bit.
Equilibrium, so that courage will not go into any excess. Oh, shoot. Love comes to put it all together, to put everything in its place, allowing everything to grow and develop according to its own objective. Four, social principles. And we talked about dumb. It's not a social principle, just a biological, material essential of life. So when we look at voodoo, understanding these principles, we understand not as a religion where you come in to learn dogmas and repeat and be conditioned to react a certain way, but something that gives you a base for observing the universe through your own eyes, not somebody's program. You look at these principles and you have a duty to serve, to apply these principles. It's not words. There is no situation in voodoo where the hunga or the mambo must stand up and have a sermon and give a big speech. No, that's not what's required of them. What's required of them? I have a headache. I go to my hunga, I go to my mambo, and he's got to find a solution to my headache. Until I know enough to know to bring it myself. But if I'm new within the society, I am at the responsibility is the chief of the group. I'm hungry, my hunga, my mambo must feed me. The priest has no responsibility for your hunger. That's your business. But he will not stop telling you, put the money in the whatever there, so he can buy wine and eat fine cheese.
And so, this is an important aspect. So when we talk about, and shout out to the Sith Lord is in the building. When we talk about giving libation, right, or leaving out, or these sacrifices. Number one, part of the principle of sacrifice in general is so that you don't waste food. You don't waste anything, right? To get you conditioned into the fact that you don't just kill things just to kill things, right? And so you use every part of the animal. That creates a certain mindset on you, to kind of kill the wastefulness. And so like when we talk about leaving out these different things, that's why you wanna you these are things you wanna leave out to meet to family of your own lineage. And I continue to say this. The people that if we are gonna deify them, they should be of your own lineage. Find your the one who is starting or who has started your family line, or maybe it's you that is starting a new family line or a family lineage. That is who the deity, that family, that's the first family is the deity, which is something that I think gold mine is big on, mother, father, child. Go ahead, God, you got it.
Oh, peace blue.
Peace,
We
peace.
kind of kicked in. Nah, you're on point. I got an echo.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and that's what people are missing. That she's talking about the principles, you talk about the principles. They manifest in you. So God is revealed in you. And just about a month ago, I was remember back in my Bible days, I would give so much time thanking God, thanking Yahshua. But I didn't spend a lot of time thanking my parents, thanking my wife, or people in my family. We don't do a lot of that. We give more respect to the idea, but the people that's on the ground with us, fighting with us, or helping us get along, we don't put much praise to them. Right. Because we're told not to do that.
It ain't good enough.
Yeah, it's a subtle deception. It's a very subtle deception. We're giving our praise to something else other than the people that's around us. And you're talking about the sacrifice of an animal. Like, people make fun of that, but we're actually eating the essence and the energy of that animal.
Right.
So it's a lot deeper. We just haven't taken the time to really think about what we do and why we do it. So yeah, good info, Blue.
Yeah, it's crazy. We step outside of we've created so much dogma around these, and that's the thing. Even in the debate that I had with Yara, if you see in that debate, Yara, one of the things he stood on was principles versus dogma, and what he was saying was that dogma, it can change, and dogma can, that which is more so of method. But when we talk about the principles can't change. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to understand that, I keep saying this, the most important part of what bayyinah bello is bringing out, that all of these principles are different aspects of self.
Right. Even the most famous Yahweh or aspects of you, if you really look at it, even Satan. I think that was my biggest revelation, that Satan was me.
Right.
I was my biggest Satan.
I'm in my own way.
Yeah. When you, in the Bible, you always rebuking the devil. I'm like, man, how does the devil know everything I'm going to do or where I'm going to be?
Right.
That's because I know where I'm going to be and what I'm going to do.
I'm the only one who can know that.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why, and that's important that you say, and that's the understanding the I. You know what I'm saying? And who is the I? You know what I
Right.
mean? What
Right.
what are the different principles of this I? The
Right.
I has two sides.
Right. Me and my wife just having a discussion on Ubuntu, and we make a lot of that the we are, but the I am is important too,
Right.
because an unhealthy I am can affect the we. We
Right.
yeah, we have to build healthy individuals so we can be a healthy community, a healthy we are. And like in that debate you had with Taz, th- he brought out so many bad points. It, I don't. He brought out a lot of bad points, but when you talk of Americanism, it's about the unhealthy I, the unhealthy ego.
Yeah.
So why are we promoting the unhealthy ego as something to be uh trying to
Praise.
establish, yeah, trying to praise or be a better unhealthy person? It's a contradiction.
And that's why the illusion is so, and it comes with the addictions of this society.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
that's a
mean?
great point.
And these addictions create an illusion of what success is. It has an illusion of what love is.
Right,
It's an illusion of what a friend is, and all of these are created to fit the narrative of this program that we in.
right, right.
And that's why even when it's a brother I was listening to earlier. I have to check and see what his name is. It's an African brother, but I get like in some parts he's trying to spit on the reality of if we're ready, what our mindset as far as going back to Africa, but the fact that there's no Chick-fil-A and different things like that, those are only illusions to keep you here. You can't live off of Chick-fil-A
Right.
and live off of Popeyes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that in itself, you know what I mean, is only is just to, not only does it create jealousy amongst others because they see it like, well, y'all got this and y'all got that, but it also, it creates this lust inside of us that we just can't feed.
Right, right. It becomes insatiable. And then that insatiable need creates the sociopath. And so the sociopath doesn't care what he has to do to get what he wants. If I got to kill somebody to get what I want, it's justified because I got what I want. And that's the
Wow.
unhealthy part of the society.
And I think I mean, eventually, I think we start to get back towards that way because and like I said, it's hard to draw a fine line between advancing in technology and advancing in comfortability with also having a respect for original culture. Like and it seems to be hard to not overstep the boundaries, because even I think when we even talk about like in aspects when we talk about from a pan-africanist or global africanism, in a lot of ways, even though modern black nationalism is much different from classical, it still kind of has
the renderings or some of the rhetoric of a modernization. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's hard to escape that, because it's like, well, no, we don't want, of course we're not saying that we want to go back to mud huts, but how do we still respect the life of what mud huts mean, and different things like that, while still being able to advance technically, you know what I mean, with technology, in order to protect ourselves.
Right. So I think that's the question of the future that you and younger generations have to answer. Even now, I know Wakanda is just a movie, but they kind of touched on blending the technology with the classical culture. You see what I'm saying? Are you there?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's a,
yeah.
yeah,
So
because that's a good mesh. That
yeah,
was a good example, though. Yeah.
yeah. You don't have to use technology to destroy your history, your culture. Even building a hut, you might, like they have minimalists. You might want to build you a hut out of natural materials and still have it air conditioned, still have solar power, biodegradable. We can do so many things now that our ancestors couldn't do, but at the same time, there's a quality in their simplicity of life because they lasted so long. I don't think the modern culture is going to last that long in its current state. It has to change because we will consume ourselves to oblivion.
And that's where we headed. And that's where we're headed. And it sucks because one of the things, like one of the most things that we would have to do is, it sounds so irrational, but like, as far as even being on, Liberia right now, we the deal that we have with Firestone is almost up. We need to be holding that. Like, we not producing no more rubber. I mean, you know what I'm saying, for anybody else, until we got made, like, because it's either one of the things we're gonna have to do. We have to either be able to build infrastructure to where we can manufacture our own stuff, or we just gonna have to just stop. You know what I'm saying? Stop. And them being able to use our resources for trading purposes in general, because we not really, even though all of the we got all of the cocoa and all of that is coming from us. It's you All of the Hershey chocolate bars is here.
Right, right, right. I mean, it's like that all over. Um, Nike wouldn't be Nike without us. You see what I mean? We are part of all of this wealth, but we don't have the wealth. So, like you say, something has to stop. Either we get control of the production of it, or we don't be a part of it. But that goes back to culture. The culture has to change. It has to be a mentality where we see we're being used. And that's where you hear so many revolutionaries talk about neo-colonialism. Neo-colonialism is just another word for white power, black face, a black face on white power. All we're doing is managing their control and their power. And we never see, and when I talk of power, I'm not saying power as they utilize power. I'm saying power to control our own lives and make our own lives better for the collective. Because we have rich and powerful black people, but the collective, the whole of Black society is at the bottom. And the only way that changes is a change in culture.
And that's a matter of fact, let me share something real quick. Make sure you can hear this. I'm gonna share this video. This is on financial aid, right? This is one of the ways that they get us a lot of times.
Really want to solve global inequality, right? Wrong. If you listen to them, you'd think they do.
Inequality is exploding.
The United States is the world's largest giver in the world by far of foreign aid.
Rich governments do give more than $130 billion in aid each year to poor countries. But the truth is, the aid narrative is a lie. It hides the brutal reality about how the global economy actually works. I was born in Eswatini, a small country in southern Africa, and I studied in the US. I spent much of my life analyzing global inequality. Global inequality describes the income gap between rich countries, sometimes referred to as the global north, and the poorer regions of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, often referred to as the global south. It's a huge gap. Now, we all know that during the colonial period, the global north plundered the south for its own enrichments: gold, silver, land, slaves, and labor, generating a huge income gap between north and south. Now that the colonial era is over, you'd think the gap is closing. But guess what? It's not. In fact, today, it's 4 times bigger than it was in the 1950s. So why is inequality increasing if so-called generous rich countries give so much aid? It's because they give aid with one hand, taking much more with the other. Let's break it down. Each year, about $2 trillion flows from the global north to the global south. That's aid, loans, foreign investments, everything. But you know what? $5 trillion actually flows back in the opposite direction, from the global south to the global north. That means that the north takes a net total of $3 trillion from the south every year. That's 24 times the aid budget that the south receives. It's a huge transfer of wealth from poor countries to rich countries. How is this happening? First, through often shady financial activities, from tax evasion and illicit money transfers involving big multinational companies, to interest payments on debts that have already been paid off many times over. Second, through international trade rules designed to benefit rich countries, allowing them to extract labor and resources from poor countries at artificially low prices. The consequences are mind-blowing. Get this. The people of the global south contribute most of the labor and the resources that go into the world economy. But the poorest 60% of humanity receives only 5% of all of the new income that's generated by global economic growth each year. The rest goes straight to the already rich. Sounds complex and totally unfair, right? The point is, rich nations grow rich at the expense of the rest of the world. So what makes this possible in the first place? Power imbalances. Basically, richer nations of the global north, I'm talking the US, UK, Germany, and France, but also Canada, Australia, Japan, and others, get to control international trade in their own interests. Take the World Trade Organization, for example, which sets the rules of international trade. Technically, it's one nation, one vote. But in reality, rich nations have all of the bargaining power. It's like a monopoly. The same rich countries also have almost all of the voting power at the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. At the IMF, the US alone has 16% of the votes and veto power over all major decisions. But all of the countries of the Global South combined, home to about 85% of the world's population, have less than 50% of the votes. In other words, people in developing countries have only about 1/10 of the votes that people in rich countries have on a per capita basis. It's a huge and even racist imbalance, kind of like a global apartheid right at the heart of our international institutions. Rich nations have leveraged this power to prevent poor nations from using progressive policies like tariffs and subsidies to develop their own industries. And the irony is, those are the very same policies that rich nations themselves once used for their own growth. Historically, it hasn't always been this way. During the colonial period, the Global South was forced to serve as a source of raw materials, slaves, and cheap labor for the North. But by the 1950s, poor countries had freed themselves from colonialism. They were electing their own leaders, introducing land reforms, social spending, and subsidies for their domestic industries. And it worked. It was a development miracle for the South.
This decade is the decade of African independence.
Now, you might think that major powers would be happy about this. After all, they claim to be all for development. Wrong again. They were not happy. The rich North was losing access to the cheap labor and precious resources they'd enjoyed under colonialism. So they intervened. And by the 1980s, they had reimposed the old colonial logic on the Global South. So, how did they do it? First of all, with coups in Iran, Guatemala, the Congo, and so on. They toppled democratic leaders and replaced them with dictators that would serve their economic interests. Then, by leveraging their power as creditors, to force Global South countries to reverse their progressive reforms, basically kicking away the ladder to development. The aid narrative obscures the truth. Aid is actually flowing in reverse. Rich countries aren't developing poor countries. It's poor countries that are developing rich ones. Colonialism never ended. It just changed form. But it doesn't have to be this way. Inequality is not a natural fact.
And so, I mean, and that's just crazy right there, man.
Right, and that's what we always meant by the philosophy of the dark side. They tell you one thing, like they're doing all this good, but they're really keeping you in poverty. So
the whole time.
Yeah, and they tell you they're righteous people, but they're actually unrighteous people, and we fall for it. But that's a good little clip to show more comes out the southern hemisphere of the planet to the northern hemisphere than it does from these rich nations down to these poor nations. It's deception.
And it's like, so how do we, and to think that we are just going to be able to sit at the table and play this game, you know what I mean, alongside, like, no. We're going to have to stop. We have got to stop this train, like, immediately. And that's just the way, like, we can't even play it by the rules because the rules are set up to continue this train going the direction that it's going.
Right. Right. Upholding the rules is upholding what's been going on for the last 400 years.
This is tough, man. It's like, shoot. So even looking, and like even when we look at and how it kind of rubs off on this, because, and this is like why, in order to pay off the financial aid, most of our countries in Africa have the highest taxes ever of any other place.
Right. So that's why they have to start giving away labor, giving away resources just to pay off those loans.
Yep. And then half of the time they don't even, like, you don't even have to ask for financial aid. They can just drop that off. If they designate your country war torn or whatever they want to designate it, they can just throw you in debt, dropping off free stuff.
Yeah.
That's like, you know what I mean? And I done heard stories of that with like the Mexican mafia just giving the dude, you know what I'm saying? Dude ain't even trying to be in a life like that. They just giving you pounds. Like, you finna sell.
Right.
Like, now you owe me. Like, hold on.
You don't have a choice.
or no, you know what I think? One of the situations the dude was saying that whatever, he was like, say you had like $100,000, they're gonna give you $200,000 worth. Yeah, you know I mean, they ain't gonna never let you. You know what I'm saying? Not, they gonna always keep you where you owe the mafia and all of that. I'm like, dang, bro.
You ever saw that documentary, the Diaries of an Economic Hitman?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you gotta check that out.
Don't think so. What is that about?
It's about, okay, let's say you're a multinational corporation and you go into these little small areas. And in the movie, they're talking about South America. And you say, look, we want to bring our corporation into this in this area, but we want you to get out of our way. Don't mess with the corporation. We're gonna give you $20 million. Just as a leader, we'll back you. We give you whatever money you need. Just let us do whatever we need to do. And if he say no, they just kill him and put somebody there that they need in place, and then build their corporation and take the resources. And the man who's giving the documentary, he was the guy that they were seeing into these areas. That's how the game is played.
Now
So
that's crazy.
yeah, that's how the game is played.
The dude name is John. Okay, yeah, John Perkins.
Yeah.
Okay, I see he got something on. Let me see. He got something on. No, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find a little quick clip of him. He got something on TED Talks.
All right, Blue. I'll be right back. I gotta step away from it.
Oh, good. I appreciate you, guy. We should do it again. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, and this is the issue. So when we talk about things that need to be done, the reason why we aren't taking the necessary steps is because we're not embodying the very principles that we are supposed to. We're waiting on these principles to embody us. And that creates an issue. We are waiting on the arm of the Lord instead of embodying the arm of the Lord. That puts us in a dangerous situation. Because when you are, it's a difference. If we embody the arm of the Lord, then the wrath of God will come down. But by waiting and continue to wait on the arm of the Lord, we'll never see it. We'll never see it. And I can literally show you that principle. And so we have to make sure that we aren't putting these deities up to such high regard in which we believe that we could never reach it. We don't believe that we could make the necessary sacrifice for each other, but we believe someone could. And so because someone else will make the sacrifice, you don't carry your own cross. You don't carry your own cross. You haven't embodied the principle. You allow somebody to carry the cross for you. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous mindset. That's what keeps us in their predicament. It's hard for us to climb out of this situation because everyone is afraid to give up their own comfortability for the next person. There were 20 people that watched George Floyd get choked to death. They allowed it because no one was willing to sacrifice themselves for a man that they did not know. sacrifice themselves for things that they may not ever see realized. All of these aspects are important. You have to be able to get to a point to where it's like, yeah, I'm willing to lay down my life, even though the goals at hand may not be in my foreseeable future. But when do we set it up for the next generation and the generation after that? Who is it that lays their life down? There's no pretty way to transition into the conditions that we all deem as favorable for us and our people. There's no pretty way to transition into that. People have to die. People have to starve. Some people will have to kill. But if it's out of love, then that's okay. Love and sacrifice. Love and sacrifice. Two necessities of us moving forward together in order for us to control our reality as a whole. In order for us to even be able to control what is deemed as acceptable, what is the social standard. The social standard today does not allow you to be you. We live in a cancel culture that does not allow you to be free. And it pretends like in this culture it's about accommodating your life for others. And it's not true. That's not true. It's about accommodating an agenda. Every day there's a new agenda that we are attacked with. And each one of these agendas undermines the issues that plague us. All of these are games that's being played. All of this is magic. A way to trick the mind. We've looked down on ourselves for too long. At what point in time do we come home? That doesn't mean physically all of the time. In most aspects, I mean mentally. From wherever you are. Everywhere that we stand currently right now, that is where we hold the most power at. We don't have to go anywhere to reconnect.
It's an artifact, a consequence of power. We need to reverse the assumption that A
But we want to do what? Play fair. Play by the rules. But the rules ain't made for us. The rules are made for the eye. The rules weren't used to put you into the predicament that you are in currently. Those rules were used to keep you in the predicament you are in currently. How long do we play by the rules? But the spirit of fear keeps you from embracing the dark side. And that's the issue. I found him, brother. I found him. And one day, brother, you will come out of idolatry and you will come home. And I get it. And if you want to talk about it, brother, the link is right there. But I am, I'm perfectly prepared to perform an exorcism right here, right now. Because, brother, I'm here to tell you right now that spirit that's on you is not a healthy spirit. The spirit that's on you is a spirit that seeks blood. The spirit that's on you is a spirit of selfishness. A spirit of awaiting. For as you wait for the arm of the Lord, we will manifest the arm of the Lord. And that's through the power of the darkness. The only thing that's ever put true fear into the hands of those, or into the hearts of those that have disrespected us. That's why they've used you to run away from it. No, brother, you repent. You need to repent, brother. You need to turn from your wicked ways. You need to turn away from that vampire deity. Come back home and beg forgiveness to Ogun. Beg forgiveness to Oshun. Beg forgiveness to Shango. Beg forgiveness to Legba. That's what you need to do. Beg forgiveness to your ancestors who knew not these gods that you claim. Beg forgiveness of your ancestors who were slain of these gods that they knew not. Beg forgiveness to your ancestors for the fact for you disrespecting the serpent, knowing that your ancestors held the serpent in high regards. Beg for forgiveness for that. Beg for forgiveness that you celebrated the death of the firstborn African babies. Beg forgiveness for that. Repent. repent. Repent for the land that was stolen from the indigenous. Whether it had been the indigenous Canaanites, the indigenous Native Americans, the indigenous Africans, the indigenous Australians. Repent for that. It's your mind that's become wicked. It's your mind that's become self-destructive. And you know why? Because you allowed a set apart spirit, a set apart spirit to infiltrate. Where did it come from? It didn't come from nature. What is outside of nature? Where did it come from? It didn't come from life, because it's outside of life. So where? These different aspects, or the principles that you rejected, but you have accepted the dogma. You've truly gone in the wrong direction. You've accepted the dogma and embodied the dogma and rejected the principles. Come out of idolatry. Come out of idolatry. It's supposed to be one light, that light of every man. But yet you got a separate light. That's what you said. So if you got this separate light or this separate spirit, then brother, you don't have the spirit of the Most High. You've invited another spirit outside of the spirit of the Most High. That's an issue of itself. By definition, that is idolatry. Teaching the disconnection of our people from nature, life, and the Creator. That's idolatry. That's true idolatry. And so whether we want to pretend like these are things that we're passing, but the only thing that you are passing along is moral hardship and pain. There's more things to help us get by. More things and more ways for us to survive. When do we lay down the blueprint for life? You're telling me that the Bible gives life, but according to you, we ain't living. I haven't seen it. I've seen it take lives. I've definitely seen the power of it to take lives, to steal people, to steal land, to take resources. I've seen that ability all day. But the one to give life, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. And so, and it's sad, man, because this actually wasn't even supposed to be this kind of show. You know, it was supposed to be a simple show where we deal with the elder, bayyinah, bello, and the 7 principles. But, you know, unfortunately, every single time a diehard pops up out of nowhere. Power to the dark side. Shout out to the DMT is in the building. And so, you know, and like bayyinah Bello said, you know, that's a part of Ifa, right? It's a part of voodoo. It's recognizing that the spirit is always present. And so I should, you know, I should expect that when I do bring out different shows like this, that the spirit will be present. And the Bible gives life. Yeah, I'm not sure what the Bible gives life was on today, but yeah. I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. Never seen that avatar or that person. But, you know, it's almost, you know, I should expect it. Because like she said, the spirit is always present. So understanding these 7 principles, understanding and knowing that all of these principles are all aspects of you or self or us or we. The most important part of us moving forward. Embracing the darkness. Understanding that we're not going to be able to play the game by the rules to get the things that we want. It's not set up that way. Understanding what's necessary. Having the spirit of Ogun. Having the courage. To make the necessary sacrifices. Oshun. Having the love. In order to make those sacrifices for those who you know not. It's not going to be peaches and cream. There's no easy way to make this transition. I'm going to say it over and over again. People are going to die. People are going to starve. People are going to be displaced. But in the end, no transition is ever easy. There's no perfect way to do it. All we can do is operate out of love, but not for ourselves. And this is why the principle of Legba comes in. But for others, who are you opening the door for? Are you opening the door for yourself? Or are you opening up the door to allow those to come behind you? Who are you making a sacrifice for? Is it only for your household? Or is it for the betterment of the community? At some point in time, we have got to make a decision that makes us uncomfortable. Because, I mean, and that's just what it is. It's about becoming uncomfortable. Popeyes makes you comfortable. The AC makes you comfortable. Having every light on in the damn house makes you comfortable. But is it healthy? There's 100 different bags of chips at the store that you can pick and choose from, any one. Which one of those bags of chips can you live off of? We have to slowly but surely wean ourselves off of this system. Be prepared to transform your mind. This is the truth about becoming a new creature. The things that entertained you before shouldn't entertain you right now. It's not a game. I don't find shit funny. Because all I can see is disrespect. I say it over and over again. The fight is much deeper than flesh and blood. The fight is much deeper than flesh and blood. It is spiritual. That means this is a battle that takes place within the mind first. And then it manifests itself through the flesh and blood. But it's about conquering the mind first. It's the subatomic. It's conquering the lust for this illusion of what success is. Cars, clothes, the big house. Too Short had a line that said, "You better get your life right. You want to stay in the burbs with your white wife." Is that success? Ice-T, is that the definition of success? Him and Coco? Respect. We don't respect the very, and this is why we try so hard to separate ourselves from our ancestors. It starts from separating ourselves from being black. No, I'm not black. What is black? Brother, black is a color. Black is this. Black is that. Which is understandable. Black means this. Black means that. Then it goes into, I'm not an African. Brother, what's an African? Do you know who named Africa? There's 54 countries in Africa. What country in that? What kind of Africa? These are the programs used to keep you detached, holy, separate. And brother, non-participation is the only way that we can fight against capitalism. Well, how we gonna eat? You want 50 million black people to go into the woods? We gonna all starve. We just supposed to occupy where we at? What we gonna do? These are the programs that allow that keep you working towards your own detriment. Fear. Having trouble getting over fear. We're having trouble putting ourselves on the line, or putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions when we don't see an immediate outcome that benefits us. Right? If it's $1 million on the line, you probably jump out the window to save somebody's life, because you can see the $1 million. Or if somebody posts a reward to find their dog, you'll be out looking for their dog, but you wouldn't look for their dog with no reward. That's the difference. Every day we need to practice inconveniencing ourselves. Maybe sometimes work on going no AC. Work on going no snacks. You may have to eat less. But be prepared to strengthen the mind for what is to come. A lot of us will fall off and are necessary casualties in our development into new creatures. As we transfer our minds and we get these, what they call the new glorified body. A lot of you who didn't play a role in the manifestation of the arm of the Lord
will be discontinued. Shamed. When they look back, will you be one that's venerated? What did you do that was worthy? Did you try to bring light to the situation? Or in our case, darkness? Did you try to build bridges? This is bigger than being in an echo chamber. Even though that's what we need. One big echo chamber. We need consequences for those who speak ill against the best intentions for us. People are allowed to talk down on our elders. Okay, here I come. Here I come. People are allowed to talk down on our great scholars. They are allowed to talk down on our culture. They can make fun of it. Smile, point, and laugh. Call it different names. Make claims that aren't even true. And there are no consequences. How long does that last? We don't need you to move anywhere. You don't have to leave. Physically. But spiritually, I need you on code. One mind doesn't mean you come along with a separate mind. And my one mind will work together with your separate mind. One mind means one mind. One spirit means one spirit. If you ain't eating, I ain't eating. We ain't eating. The transformation has to take place amongst us. We don't have 2 and 3 more generations to keep playing this game. We're getting caught up into we're getting pushed into a position that soon we may not be able to get out of. Understanding that spiritually, we need you to return. The fight is spiritual.
It's a change of the mind. What you deem as successful, what you deem as important, what you deem as love, so when you leave today, leave yourself asking, when I opened up the door, did I open it for myself, or did I open it to let someone else in?
Depot on the beat. I couldn't believe it, even when out of eye, and I still couldn't see it. This is much deeper than flesh and blood. Nigga, we fighting demons. Been double dared by the devil, and I'm still in the field. Now you get to watch me get it up out of the mud. I couldn't believe it, even when I was out of eye, and I still couldn't see it. This is much deeper than flesh and blood. Nigga, we fighting demons. I've been double dared by the devil, and I'm still undefeated. Now y'all get to watch me get it up out of the mud. Now y'all get to see me without a mud. Everything that I do gon' be out of love. And I'm tired of these trials and these tribulations. And I'm sick of my name always getting drugged. But no, I ain't budge. All of this money and you not pursuing it. All of this time you don't know what to do with it. Counterproductive and counterintuitive. Why you be acting like you all brand new to it? Straight from the gutter, boy, we getting sewer. As soon as we get it, you know we gon' move it quick. All of this money I made from the block. Get out the game and invest it in stock. Bought me a whip, get the rest of it up. When you saving no stuff, man, it messes them up. We gon' be fine, but we stay on our grind. All of my niggas is stepping it up, and they foot on our neck and no letting it up. We love with the playing field, even the battle. My son is a scientist, he's spitting at us. Need us more geniuses, I know we got them. I know it's in us, I'm bringing it out. I know I ain't perfect, I'm making them out on Capitol Hill, and I'm bringing them houses. The path that I'm on should nobody follow. I couldn't believe it, even when out of eye, and I still couldn't see it. This is much deeper than flesh and blood. Nigga, we fighting demons. Been double dared by the devil, and I'm still in the field. Now you get to watch me get it up out of the mud. I couldn't believe, even when I was out of eye, and I still couldn't see it. This is much deeper than flesh and blood. Nigga, we fighting demons. I've been double dared by the devil, and I'm still undefeated. Now y'all get to watch me get it up out of the mud. We fought hard on this road this longer. Fighting each other won't make us no stronger. Honey, this nigga's been fighting this hunger. I'm at my worst and ain't getting no wronger. No change of silence, I'm making it through. I flip a chair or a table or two. They won't believe what I'm able to do. I'm making these moves, but this is a new movement. My dog at the gate and all praises and Anubis. I'm getting too lit in my boat pack with doobies. On my way up and I break through your roofing. Shot for the moon and it made me a star. Got so much drive I can make it to Mars. Can't promise the day that I make it tomorrow. Every time that we make is to pay what we borrow. It's to pay what we borrow.
You only get one. We got it here after this one, y'all. I appreciate y'all showing up. One first impression.
Counting strikes and still letting the blossom slow. Still learning from the lessons, I ain't letting go. I'm just confessing my depression, I need medical. I wanna get into it, turn into a vegetable. Don't wanna think about all of this shit that I'm expressing on. And it ain't helping, it ain't healthy being left alone. And this time to be ain't going when it's bumping on. And I'll be writing on my roads for the extension. Storm. Let me tell you about the chains and mental bondage. Swear to God to leave a pain in my stomach. Hey. Wild boys dying. suggestions. You only get one first impression. You only get one. You only get one. Fell asleep on the floor, I'm just well wishing. Woke up in the system, I done fell victim. Had a vision of my spirit breaking hell with him. Sent a prayer from the angels that I fell with him. Hard always with me, better stay to your left. The school of hard knocks and we ain't play with no breath. All I found better say with your chest. You had Kevin Hart, you been playing in your dress. Something wrong with him. Why you always seem to stay up in some mess? You ain't the son of a king, boy, you intellect. I was born in the trenches, bitch, I've been a vet. Stop trading like Arnold, no Benedict. Strong armor when it's storming for the benefit. On karma, I'ma get what I'm finna get. Finish the mission with a hole in my Michelin. At the bottom of a bottle for a message. No, I don't need no suggestions. You only get one first impression. You only get one. You only get one.